I never thought the person who would try to destroy me would be my own brother. We built everything together, from nothing, same struggles, same nights, same dream. At least, that's what I believed. Until the day I walked into my own office, and heard him telling people I was the problem. That I was the one holding the company back. I didn't confront him. I didn't argue. I just listened, and realized something I should have seen a long time ago. Because what he didn't know was, I had already seen the numbers, the decisions, the things he thought no one would ever notice. And when the truth finally came out, it didn't just cost him his position. It cost him everything. So here's the question. What do you do when the person you trusted the most is the one trying to replace you? We started that company together 5 years ago. Not with investors, not with connections, just two brothers trying to build something that actually mattered. There were nights we stayed in that office until sunrise, sleeping on chairs, eating whatever we could afford, telling each other that one day it would all be worth it. And slowly, it was. The company started growing, clients started coming in, money finally started showing up. From the outside, it looked like a perfect success story. Two brothers who made it. But what people didn't see was how things were changing inside. At first, it was small things. Decisions he made without telling me. Meetings I wasn't invited to. Conversations that suddenly stopped when I walked into the room. I told myself it was nothing. That we were just growing, just getting busier. But deep down, something didn't feel right anymore. It didn't happen all at once. It never does. It was small changes that slowly became patterns. He started taking control of things we used to decide together. Financial reports became shorter, less detailed. When I asked questions, the answers felt incomplete. At first, I trusted him. He was my brother. I didn't think twice about it, but then one day, I noticed something strange. Numbers didn't match. Payments were delayed, but the accounts showed everything was fine. That's when I stopped asking him, and started checking things myself. Late nights turned into something different. Not building the company, but quietly going through records, emails, transactions. And what I found didn't make sense. Money was moving in ways it shouldn't. Decisions were being made without approval. Deals were happening that I had never even heard about. That was the moment everything shifted, because it was no longer a feeling. It was proof. I didn't confront him right away. I needed to be sure. Not just suspicious, but certain. So I waited. I watched. I let things play out while I kept digging deeper. And then, it happened. One evening, I walked into the office earlier than usual. The lights were still on in the conference room. I wasn't supposed to be there at that time. I slowed down when I heard voices. His voice. And someone else. I didn't walk in. I stayed where I was, just outside the door. And that's when I heard it. He was talking about me. Not as a partner. Not as a brother. As a problem. He told them I was holding the company back. That I didn't understand where the business needed to go. That he was already planning to move forward, without me. For a second, everything went silent in my head. Not because I didn't understand what he was saying. But because I finally understood everything. I didn't walk into that room. I didn't confront him. I didn't react. I just stood there for a moment and then quietly turned around and left. Because in that moment, I understood something important. This wasn't about a mistake. This wasn't confusion. This was a plan. And if he was planning behind my back, then the worst thing I could do was let him know I knew. So the next morning, everything looked normal. I showed up the same way. Same attitude. Same conversations. I even sat across from him like nothing had changed. But behind the scenes, I started making my own moves. I reviewed every agreement. Every signature. Every account linked to the company. And slowly, I began to separate myself from everything he was trying to control. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Because I wasn't trying to stop him anymore. I was preparing for what would happen when he thought he had already won. From that day on, I stopped trying to fix things and started watching everything more carefully. I let him believe that I was still unaware, still trusting him, still playing my part like nothing had changed. But behind the scenes, I was putting everything in place. Every account, every approval, every decision that still required my involvement, I began to slowly step away from it. Not in a way that anyone could notice immediately, but enough that the system would not function the same without me. At the same time, I noticed something else. He was moving faster now. Bigger decisions, riskier deals, commitments that looked impressive on the outside but didn't feel stable when you looked closely. It was like he was trying to prove something, trying to take full control before anyone questioned him. And that's when I realized the truth. He wasn't just replacing me, he was depending on the structure I built while pretending he didn't need it. So I didn't stop him. I let him continue. I let him go deeper into it, make bigger promises, take bigger risks. Because I knew something he didn't. The moment everything depended completely on him. That's the moment everything would start to fall apart. It didn't collapse in a dramatic way at first. There was no big announcement, no sudden explosion. It started with small delays, things that most people would ignore. A deal that didn't go through on time, a payment that got stuck longer than expected, a client asking questions that didn't have clear answers. At first, he handled it the way he always did, confidently, like everything was under control. He reassured people, made promises, pushed timelines forward. From the outside, it still looked stable. But I could see it clearly now. The system was struggling. Because the parts he thought didn't matter were the ones holding everything together. Within a couple of days, those small issues started connecting. One delay affected another. One unanswered question created 3 more. The kind of pressure that builds quietly but spreads fast. That's when his behavior changed. He started staying longer at the office, making more calls, trying to fix things quickly. The confidence was still there, but it didn't feel the same anymore. And then, for the first time, I looked at the phone for a few seconds before answering. Not because I was surprised, but because I knew exactly why he was calling. When I picked up, his voice sounded calm at first, controlled, like nothing was wrong. He asked simple questions, things he could have figured out on his own before. But I could hear it beneath the surface, hesitation. He tried to keep the conversation normal, talking about the delays, the issues, asking if I had noticed anything unusual. I answered carefully, nothing too detailed, nothing that would give him control again. I told him I wasn't involved in those parts anymore. That I had stepped back from those decisions. There was a pause after that, a longer one than before. That's when his tone changed. Slightly sharper, slightly more direct. He asked why I hadn't informed him. Why things were different now. I told him the truth, just not all of it. I said I assumed he wanted full control. That he was already handling everything on his own. Another silence, and in that silence, for the first time, he realized something was wrong. After that call, things didn't slow down, they got worse. The problems that started as small delays were now impossible to ignore. Clients were no longer patient, partners were asking direct questions, and deals that looked solid just days ago were starting to fall apart. He tried to fix everything at once, moving faster, making more calls, pushing harder, but the more he tried to control it, the more unstable everything became. Because what he didn't understand was this: the system wasn't built for shortcuts. It was built on structure, on balance, on decisions made carefully over time. And without that structure, everything started breaking in ways he couldn't predict. That's when the second call came. This time, there was no calm voice, no control. He didn't ask questions, he needed answers. He told me things were getting serious, that deals were collapsing, that people were starting to doubt the company. I listened quietly. Not interrupting, not reacting. Then I said something simple. I told him that everything happening right now was exactly what happens when you remove the person holding it all together. And for the first time, he didn't have anything to say back. He didn't call again after that. Not immediately. But I knew this wasn't over. The next time I saw him wasn't over the phone, it was in the office. He looked different. Not weak, not broken, but not the same confident person I had known. The pressure had changed him. The control he thought he had was slipping. He tried to act normal at first, talking about work, about fixing things, about moving forward. But it didn't last long. Eventually, he stopped pretending. He looked at me and asked directly, "Why didn't you tell me?" Not what happened. Not how to fix it. Just that. And that question said everything. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just told him the truth. I said, "You stopped treating me like a partner a long time ago. You made decisions without me, built plans without me, and expected everything to still work the same." I paused for a moment, then added one more thing. "You didn't lose control because of me. You lost it the moment you thought you didn't need me." And after that, there was nothing left to argue about. After that conversation, everything became quiet. Not fixed, just quiet. The kind of silence that comes when there's nothing left to prove and nothing left to hide. I didn't try to take control back. I didn't fight for position, and I didn't try to rebuild what was already broken. Because at that point, it was clear, this was never just about the company. It was about trust. And once that was gone, everything built on it started to fall apart. I walked away from the office that day the same way I walked in years ago, with nothing. But this time, it felt different. Not like a loss, but like clarity. Because sometimes the real mistake isn't trusting someone. It's ignoring the moment they stop deserving that trust. And the truth is, success doesn't destroy relationships. It reveals them. So if you were in my place, would you have done anything differently? So tell me, if you were in my place, would you walk away, or make them regret it?